Well, hello there. I am going live. I'm in my glasses, but I will take them off when I look cute. I'm going to let some people join up here. I'm really excited. I'm going to be talking to the founder of Red Wine and Blue, who's real cool. But I need my glasses to be able to find her. So I got to, go in there, look at some requests, see who wants to get on here with me, and make it happen. So exciting. I love it when there's already like 1,000 people watching. Oh my goodness. Well, hi!
Hello.
Can you believe it worked out?
Um, no, I never can, but I'm accepting it. I'm having gratitude for it.
Exactly.
It's the night
Hi,
before
nice
the
to meet you on
election.
Instagram.
Um, what did you say?
I said nice to meet you on Instagram.
Oh, yeah, it's really nice to meet you on Instagram too. I mean, I'm, just keeping it casual, reporting from my home in Ohio, just talking to Elizabeth Banks. It's no big deal. Hi.
Where in Ohio do you live?
I live just outside of Cleveland in Shaker Heights.
Oh yes, Shaker Heights, sure. I have family that lived in Parma. I still have an aunt who lives in Parma, Ohio.
Right
And
on.
yeah, and I grew up going to Ohio most of my life. We used to take the train from Massachusetts, where I'm from. My favorite place to go in all of Ohio is in Sandusky, and it's Cedar Point, which I'm sure you have visited.
I mean, yeah, that's just like part of being an Ohioan, like as often as possible, you know.
I
Um,
mean, so honorary Ohioan maybe because
I had
because of Cedar
no
Point.
idea. That makes
I'll
this
take
all
it.
the more special. Thank
There you
you.
go.
Yeah.
Can you introduce yourself to I don't know, there's like 1,000 people watching us right now or something. Can you
Yeah.
introduce yourself to everybody and tell us about Red Wine and Blue, my favorite new organization?
Oh, yeah, of course. So my name is Katie Paris, and I founded a group called Red Wine and Blue in 2019. And the idea, oh, can you hear my husband? He's writing voter protection for the county, like getting ready, and it's like getting intense. I think
You're going to be hearing
oh,
my dog bark any second,
okay.
so don't
All
worry
right.
about it.
Okay, it's good. Anyway, so Red, White, and Blue is about mobilizing women in the suburbs. And the way we do that is really tapping into empowering our voices and our networks because moms, like moms know everybody. Like you
Yeah.
don't want to mess with that PTA network. And so it's all about women who mostly have never been involved in politics before, like stepping up, realizing so much is on the line, like that it's not acceptable to have a president of the United States who behaves far worse than our children. And so, from diverse political backgrounds, really diverse in every way, women coming together and owning our power and saying, like, we got to step up, we got to do this, we need to make a difference in this election. And it seems like, I mean, it's going pretty well so far, but I'm super nervous.
So Katie, you took it upon yourself to basically organize the moms in your community. And then that outreach that network reached out to more and more and more people. And it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And all you're having people do is have girlfriends sit around in the backyard, have a glass of wine, and talk openly about the things that are affecting them in their daily lives and to see if maybe voting might help that.
Yeah.
Might help them feel a little more like they have some control over things that maybe for a long time have felt a bit out of their control.
Well, I started Red Wine and Blue because I was inspired by women all across Ohio who were doing exactly that. Following the 2016 election, like they didn't think Trump would win, and it was a surprise, and many of them living, especially in more conservative areas, having this sense of isolation. And so wanting to reach out to other women who might be feeling the same way in their communities. And basically they ended up forming these small local sisterhoods of women who said, okay, we're going to get together. We are going to drink some wine and we're going to figure this out just like we do anything else in our life. And then inspired by what was going on at a national level, really become involved locally, encourage one another to run for office. I mean, we have more women on the ballot in Ohio than we've ever had in the state's history. And I think that this is a direct result of this kind of organizing. So these women really inspired me. But I thought, wow, they don't know about each other though. What if we connected all of this together, made it super strategic, like used these women as the messengers to reach out to other women, because there's so many more women we need to reach and bring into the process. And so, now we run a relational organizing program where women, it's all about contacting people because that's the most powerful way to do it rather than through strangers. And
can you talk a little bit about that? How a personal connection to somebody is actually how we create interested citizens.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes like in politics, those of us who work in it, we're like, well, why aren't people more engaged? Why don't people feel connected and like they have a stake in all this? And it's like, well, because we haven't made it personal and actually like becoming engaged and making the decision to like use your voice and step up and like maybe talk about politics or even just voting with people that that can feel like uncomfortable, stepping outside of your traditional comfort zone. And so, but there is real power when someone who you actually know, and it could be like through the gym, through children's activities, really through the schools, anything. When someone through your own networks talks to you about this stuff, it really makes a difference. So we're all about giving women the confidence, basically, to have those conversations and to recognize the influence that they can actually have. And the cool thing that happens, like once they start doing that and like seeing the influence and more women are like, oh, hey, thanks. I feel like you do. And, there's connection and there's sisterhood and there's power.
And what I love about your organization, from what I know of it, is also there's not judgment. When people come, they come with their issues, their voter history, their lack of knowledge, and nobody goes like, oh, how do you not know anything? It's like they're coming, just the fact that they're showing up for the discussion, you want to give them credit for that. I want to give them credit for that. Like, I want to say to everybody that's in Red, Wine, and Blue, the courage to just show up and like talk openly about something that you care about. That not everybody does that. There are a lot of people who don't participate very actively in politics, which shape the policies that shape our lives. And I think that's the direct connection that people kind of forget. It's like you call the fire department and you expect them to show up, but like that didn't happen by accident. There's a whole system in place that made sure that the fire department shows up when you call. Yeah. And that's something that got worked on for a long time by other people. So if you want other services like that in your life for yourself and your kids, we all have to work on it, because I have found that if we don't do it, for sure someone else will step in and fill the void. And maybe they don't have your best interests as a mom, as a wife, as a mother at heart. And that's what bums me out. It's like, why are we leaving room for other people to squeeze their way in there, lobbyists, corporate interests, et cetera, when like you're in charge, you pay the taxes.
I think there's this notion of like, oh, well, there's other people who know more and know better than I do. What I hear from women all the time is like, well, I don't know if I should say anything unless I've done all the research and I have every last fact. That's not what you hear from men. It's just not, but women have so much knowledge, so much life experience, just and grounded in such, mama bear values that we need more of, that once they kind of realize that influence that they can have on the world. I hear from women all the time, like, I didn't know it would matter, if I spoke up, but then I see my influence, and then there's something contagious about that, and I think that what I also hear all the time is that what we're creating, like you said, from like, no matter where you came from, what matters is that you're here now. That's right. That sense of support is so essential to then have the confidence to take that action, to reach out to someone, because then you feel like someone's got your back,
Totally. Yeah. And you're not alone, and you're not crazy in your thought process.
Right.
But also, you cared enough to get educated, to hear other people's perspectives. I think that's really important too. There's people are getting their information, I'm finding, from very binary sources right now. And it's really important that we talk to each other about all the different sources and what to really trust. And I mean, I find even just the amazing thing of people saying to me, like, well, Joe Biden wants to defund the police. And I'm like, Joe Biden literally has a website that you can go to and read his policies. You do not have to take anyone else's word for it. He wrote it down. You can read it direct from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
And I find, and people, it's like that one extra step. Do you know what I mean? That people say, well, I heard.
But this is
a little bit more work, maybe.
Yeah. What you said is so important too, just like going to the horse's mouth too. Because something I've heard from a lot of women who might have voted for Trump in 2016, and they're in a very different place now. And it mostly has to do with, one mom was just telling me the other day, she said it was at the point when I decided to start listening to their words rather than what other people told me about their words.
Yes.
And that's powerful, right? Just set all of those filters aside and just go hear it for yourself.
Yeah. Go to the source. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Trump makes himself fully available at every hour of the day, usually, with all kinds of things to be said. So I think that's really important. And we have seen, and the other thing that really does matter though, are our personal experiences and thoughts and feelings, and sharing them with people that care about us and that we care about. I have seen, women flipping their husbands. And it's not because they came up with a stat. Okay. It's because they were just, probably patient over time and had the conversations and let the change happen because they were open and vulnerable and honest with their feelings. And women are good at that. And then, but also even more powerful for me is these daughters flipping their moms. It's
yes.
It's amazing. It's so powerful. And it's usually about a mom sharing with her mom her experience as a mom, and raising her young kids in this environment, which I know you can relate to. We both have 2 boys.
Yes.
And so I think all the time about the example being set for my boys and how the current leadership is not okay in that regard.
Yeah, I heard, I was listening to the daily episode about your organization, and it was so interesting. One of the moms said, I would like to have a president where I can have the TV on and have my kids in the room at the same time. And I thought, that is exactly right. The amount of things I feel like I have to shield my kids from right now. And then the things that I feel like I just have to open their eyes to them too. I don't want them to have their heads in the sand about things or hear about it from someone other than me. But it's crisis after crisis after crisis. And, when, my kids have to wear a mask all the time in order to interact with anybody in their life right now, because that's just what we're doing. And so when they see the president isn't wearing a mask and then gets coronavirus, they're like, what the heck? Why do it doesn't make sense to them. And it should. Things should make sense to, big ideas should be able to be understood by a 9-year-old,
Yeah, totally. No, I mean, my 5-year-old is the same way. He is going to kindergarten and wears a mask all day long. If I don't pick him up, he actually sometimes will come into the house, up to my home office and come kiss me hello and still have his mask on. He's just, because he's just doing it. He's going along. It's not that hard,
Not only is it not hard, it's also, it should never have been politicized in the first place.
Thank you.
This should just be, it should be a public policy that helps us get control of a rampaging virus that's killing hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked, honestly, early on in the pandemic by how political that did get so early. Honestly, I think that that's going to turn out being really dumb politics, because I think like most moms, regardless of political affiliation, are just like having this conversation, you know? So I just think that that has pushed Trump, and here we have a Republican majority in our state legislature, and every Republican in our state house voted against wearing masks in the state house. It's like the one place in Ohio you don't have to wear a mask. I don't think that's like drawing any moms any closer to them.
No, especially when, I mean, I think about my parents. I haven't seen my parents since February, and I could start crying talking about it right now. And I'm trying to protect them. They live very far away. For me to go see them would absolutely require me to, in some way, interact with other people. And so I would have to quarantine. It would have to be, it has to be, in my opinion, very carefully done, because God forbid I be the reason that anything bad happened to them. And so I just, that's what people are feeling and dealing with on a daily basis. So when yahoos are like, meh, devil may care attitude, like, doesn't affect me, it hurt. It literally, that's personal. Like, it hurts,
It's so personal.
Personal for those of us that are sacrificing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think politics has become more personal in the context of the pandemic in so many ways. Honestly, I think that the dual pandemics of this focus on racial injustice to, with George Floyd calling out to his mama, which also came up beautifully, I thought, in the Daily episode. And I was so glad, because it's something that does come up all the time. Black women, Black voters have been leading on the issues and the candidates and for the values that I care about for a long time. And I'm so glad that women who look like me are stepping up to, do our part in this. And George Floyd was a wake-up call for many women, and seeing, not only feeling the impact it had on themselves, but on their communities. Black Lives Matter protests. It's just your point about it, all of this being so personal. Feelings were already raw about this president as women, as moms, but then, you throw in, 2020, and it's just been like next level of rawness.
Next level. And like, you can't sit down with Leslie Stahl, President Trump. Like, what? And also the disrespect. It's like, it's Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes. Like,
I loved that interview was so amazing in so many ways. I especially enjoyed when she like confronted him with, so you're, me too. I have my little tumbler. Cheers. But she, when she confronted him, like, you're kind of losing some support with the ladies. These suburban women are running the other way, man. And he goes, no, I don't think so. No, that's not true. No, they're not. It's true. It's happening. And it's not just suburban women, though. It's like all women. And it's frankly like, I think it's everybody at this point. So I'm super nervous. I don't know about you, about tomorrow.
Well, I do just want to, before we go, I also want to bring up, as you brought up your state legislature, the impact and importance of local politics and how our locals, I think everyone is also, that bell's been rung too, right? Like, you can't just come out every 4 years and vote for the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Your local leadership is what actually affects your everyday life in a really profound way. And it affects the schools that your kids go to and what that looks like. And, and your clean, whether you have clean water or not, it affects the judges that hear cases in your town, and whether you have mental health being looked after or not. It's incredible to me that people are realizing now how important those races are. Talk to me just a little bit about how you guys also focus so much on the local politics.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's so interesting too about these races is that they are even more sensitive to public opinion locally, right? It can feel like, oh, my voice doesn't matter. How do I ever influence, a presidential race? It does matter, first of all. But in these local races where you are in this smaller community, I mean, your voice matters so much. They are really sensitive to what moms in their constituency are saying. And I think that so many of the women we work with have seen that time and time again. So it really matters in Ohio. We're going to be headed into redistricting next year. We're one of the most gerrymandered states in the whole country, which is not a sexy issue to talk about, but it has implications for every single thing we care about, because it means we don't have Democratic representation, because the districts are drawn so weird that people's votes don't count the same. So,
it's voter suppression. It literally is the way that then your vote won't count. So if you actually want to be heard, you do have to figure out your gerrymandering.
We got to figure it out. So we've got this opportunity. We passed a good ballot initiative in 2018, but a lot of what is going to impact that is who's at the negotiating table. So we have to get rid of this Republican supermajority. Ohio's a 50-50 state. It is insane that we have this supermajority, and it's the result of gerrymandering. But we have all these amazing women on the ballot, and I think a lot of them have an amazing chance at breaking this supermajority. And so we're going to be in a better position, and that's going to help Ohio, across the board on every issue, leadership at every level. So that's why we focus on state Supreme Court here in addition to president. We're focused on state legislature. We're focused on congressional races too. The whole ballot really matters. And we know that when women go in to cast their ballot, they want to know. They want to research their ballot and have the whole thing figured out. So there was no way we weren't going to engage on the whole thing anyway. I mean, that's just like what we do. We got to know.
So how do people get involved with your organization? Like, how does a mom like me be like, all right, I'm going to have a red, wine, and blue backyard masked, socially distanced wine party, because that's what we're doing right now.
Yes. Well, thankfully, there's a lot of wine happening over Zoom. Like, look at us here,
Here it is.
Yeah. Cheers again. Oh,
yeah.
So we have, we're hosting Vino the Vote, tequila and texting, mimosas and messaging on Sundays, where we just get together and it's like, okay, it's cool. Let's like hang out with your girlfriends. We'll have a drink, and then we're going to get some shit done together, and
the ladies get it done.
Thank you. Yes. So we're doing that on a regular basis. So come find us on Instagram. We're also have a lot going on Facebook. That's where a lot of organizing happens.
Unfortunately.
Exactly. And redwine.blue is our website, so you can sign up there as well. We are all about the communication and staying in touch and offering lots of opportunities to be involved and get connected. And you join our groups. Come over to the Facebook page and join our groups, because that's really where these are not like these anonymous message boards. Like, people are connecting and cheering each other on and asking each other hard questions and seeking advice. Like, I'm dealing with this conversation, or how can I help in this place? Or I'm feeling sort of alone in this county. So it's really genuine community. I talk to people like IRL all the time from our groups, and that's just important too. So even in this time of isolation with the pandemic, like, none of us are alone. Maybe even Elizabeth Banks will reach out to you one day, and then you'll just be having a conversation.
Here we are, and then we're just chatting. Well, I hope, I'm going to post this, obviously. I hope people get involved with your group. I love grassroots organizing. It's what I grew up on. It's why I'm politically active.
Amazing.
Everybody that tells anybody to stay in their lane, like they don't know what blah, 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 blah. You know what? Guess what? My lane is I'm an American citizen who pays taxes. I get a say, and so do you. Don't let anybody tell you you don't. This has been so fun. I'm really excited for your organization and your organizing skills, and I appreciate all that you've done to get out the vote. It's been an incredible year for that, and let's hope for some change. I'm going to hope for some change. I can't handle this crisis going on for 4 more years. And at the very least, I really hope people in local districts take it upon themselves to talk to each other. That's what this is really about. At the heart of what you're doing is you're getting people to communicate. And I think that's how change really happens. So thank you for doing that. Okay. I'm going to go live. I can go live with some other people. I'm going to let you go, Katie. Thank you so much.